Hello, everyone, and welcome to another great episode of AI and the Future of Work. I'm your host, Dan Turchin from Astound, and we're super lucky today to be joined by a special guest, Tony North, who needs no introduction, but I'll still ask him to introduce himself. Tony, tell us a little bit about your background.
Thank you, Dan. Today, excited to join. Appreciate you guys spending some time. I'm Tony North. I'm the support manager for the IT support manager for Sinclair. I also am the president of the Seattle HDI chapter here, and just excited to join. Been part of the IT world here now for about 20 years.
Tony, you've seen it all, you've done it all. When we were talking offline, you would tell me about some of the amazing places where you've had an opportunity to introduce customers to ITSM. Talk about some of the adventures you've been on over the years.
Well, I've been fortunate to have quite a few adventures. A lot of my work involved implementing systems through about 26 countries and about 42 states. So that's given me an opportunity to see places that normally I wouldn't get to see. One of the biggest adventures I had was, and honors that I had, was being able to be part of the Commonwealth Games as the help desk manager, which was a 2-year project in Malaysia. And that gave me an opportunity to take ITSM to a totally different level, not just talking about technology, but also, the different events that occurred, but being prepared so that we could be successful.
One of the things that makes you so interesting is that you've been both on the vendor side as well as on the client side. What do you think it is that vendors don't get about the way ITSM really works in the real world?
That's a great question. As a vendor, you're right. For half of my career and then 17 years as a director of tech support, there's what I call the gray area. And that's where the technology, meets people and the human element. And so the trick is really being able to be advanced in technology, but using the human element to, make it real, to ensure that customers, are feeling like they're getting what they paid for, what they expect. And so a lot of the gray area is wrapped around those expectations, doing some ITSM, pre-testing, QA, at the same time being able to wrap some instructions so that there's a flow through the human element to make it all work the right way. And once you package that together, it's a very, very powerful combination.
How do you screen for cultural fit when you hire for service desks?
I typically am one of those folks, 25% of the job is recruiting. And I typically focus on the requirements that are needed technically, but I also really focus on that customer service aspect. And what I've found is it's way easier to be able to find somebody who's got or has the ability to have great customer service and then utilize those customer service skills and then train them on the technical. Whereas the reverse can be a challenge. If I find the perfect technical fit, they may be very technical and can solve 100% of everything you need, but then on the customer service side, it may seem redundant.
I think most employees don't appreciate how hard of a job it is to be on the service desk. Super high turnover. It's really a thankless job. What are some of the things that you do to keep your best agents engaged and make work fun?
The way that we address that is by involving ourselves in the organization, working as a partner with other teams like, QA or, development if you're developing code or, if it's customer service and HR is involved in HR. And by building partnerships, we tend to try to find what is it that those other teams need. Well, we know we need them, we're going to need to ask them, hey, please fix this bug, or please solve this issue. And then we're going to report that back to the customer and set expectations. But what can we do better that can actually help other teams? And ultimately, by doing this, we've seen other teams actually want to come join our team, which is pretty strange, as I'm sure you know, Dan, having other teams like sales and development say, hey, we want to go to support, but that's just because they see the teamwork that we provide and our ability to help the whole organization.
We're always striving to deliver engaging experiences with technology to our internal customers. I think one of the things that makes your job hard is coming up with the right ways to measure the value that we're providing as a service provider. How do you see that? What are the best metrics?
But typically the metrics that I would say are important usually involve the ability to execute quickly. Most of our customers have projects they want them done quickly. And so based on that, we're going to determine in our metrics how fast can we execute. We're going to take past years of information where we've worked in these projects and maybe take a similar project, and then based on that make some assessments to see how fast we can execute. The other step or the other metric is going to be based on quality, so speed and then quality. And it's really good to have the speed, but if you have reopened tickets, for instance, then there's an issue about the quality. So we're going to work on understanding what those requirements are and ensuring that we know what makes this activity of good quality, and then we will share that information as well. And then the third one is really that feedback. So speed, quality, and feedback.
You've been around ITSM tools just about longer than anyone, well more than 20 years. Tell me, what's your biggest impression about what has changed about the, not so much the people or the process, but focusing on the tool silo? How have the tools evolved?
That's a great question. After spending time with the Heat folks, the Magic Solution, now BMC folks, and the knowledge management folks, really you start seeing certain things that are common across the board. And there's going to be tools that are stronger or tools that still need improvement, but I do find that tools all play catch up to things. The next tool that I would share is data, which I never thought would be one of those things 10 years ago we would focus on. But after working with APIs and integrating systems, which is really, in today's world, that's a tool. Being able to integrate into systems, having them work together. A lot of times your accounting team may have a certain tool, you've got to adhere to that. Or self-service may be used in another part of the organization, so you have to adhere to that. So then being able to integrate data enables you to still get what you're looking for, and if it's self-service that you're integrating data with, your customers are getting what they're looking for. The other pieces that I see the use of data being used is being able to learn from the data, and that's one thing we don't do a lot. We do talk about crystal reports and reporting and Tableau and those type of tools that can help us analyze data. So really, the three tools that I would say is going to be the self-service, using that data for repeat business, and then also using the data to identify things that, may be helpful to your customer, but may not be things that we've thought about yet.
Tony, I got time to get in one last question for you. So we've talked a little bit about the past, a little bit about your background. Now polish your crystal ball. So tell me about 3 trends that you see. Call it, a 3 to 5 year time horizon. What's going to change about our world of support?
Well, that's a great topic. I would say that the 3 things that change, and there's a lot of change that's going on even as we speak. The first one, we went from decentralized to enterprise and then centralized. And I see one thing that we're changing on right now is going back to decentralized. And from that perspective, what I'm sharing that I'm reading now is being able to have systems that are separate. And then we evolved to having systems all the same. And you can take the perfect example is Microsoft Office. You know, Microsoft put all those tools together and then came up with this Office bundle. And now many companies have continued the bundle methodology to sell in a bundle and be able to capitalize on that. And now we're seeing with, you know, as we go to AWS hosting and cloud, whatever name that you may call it, we're getting back to a decentralized environment where we're using things like single sign-on to enable those, you know, permissions, but keeping everybody logged in so that they can, you know, be speedy with the work that they do. So I see that evolving again into a decentralized world where these hosted systems will link together through technology like APIs or web services, but they're isolated by themselves. The second thing that I see is the type of reporting that we're doing. This is one of those areas where reporting in the past has been something where we would generate a report for our internal or external customer. And today we're using reporting completely differently for that data element to determine are we hitting the right mark, or maybe it's data from our website that people are using, but ultimately we're using reporting and data in a better way in today's world. And then the last thing, which is one of the topics I'll be sharing here over the next few months as well, is robots. I hate to say it, but you know, as we all evolve, I mean, the Ford manufacturing line had to evolve into a manufacturing process, and as we evolve here, we're gonna do the same. I'm actually talking about robots doing work that normal people would do, or it would be a job that I would apply for, such as one of the companies called Zoom that is delivering pizzas in a truck, but having a machine build the pizzas as opposed to a human element, or a call center in Dubai where, you know, they have only 2 subject matter experts, but they have 8 agents taking the basic calls and then using the self-service as the voice mechanism to solve the common things that, you know, customers are facing. So I see those 3 areas, but the last one here on robots, I see that over the next 5 to 10 years getting better, more improved in their communication, more improved in their ability to talk and sound more human, as opposed to, you know, being a voice recorder or, you know, something that sounds more robotic. And as these robots talk better, so will the jobs that they will unfortunately fill. So a lot of change in today's world that we're going to keep up with, but not all bad, but you just need to be aware so that we can apply the right tools for the right expectations.
Tony, this has been fantastic. Feels like we're just getting started. Maybe if you wouldn't mind, as we delve deeper into that future that you just prognosticated, particularly maybe the third point about AI and the world of work, maybe we'll have you back for another session